What's up, everybody? My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Umineko When They Cry Answers Arc. Last episode, Willard discovered the truth behind Leon, and I guess it's pronounced Leon. I don't know how anyone hasn't told me that yet. Well, no one told me that before last episode, so I guess it's Leon, but I'm probably gonna continue calling him Leon. And apparently, Leon's gender is supposed to be a secret. So that's interesting. It is. I don't know how I didn't catch it before. They just did not ever say. Like, no one ever specified whether Leon was a guy or a girl. So that's interesting. I'm still going to be calling him a he, just for simplicity's sake, because I think Leon's probably a dude. Just the way he acts, the way he dresses. Like, compared to all the other women in the Ushiromiya family, even the servants, they all wear dresses, or skirts, or some kind, well, Kyrie, well, that's kind of a dress. They all wear, and that's kind of a dress also. They all wear some form of dress, whereas Leon doesn't. Leon wears pants. So, yeah, I guess you could say, oh, the pinkish red color, but granted, he could still be a guy. I'm just gonna continue referring to Leon as a guy. I can understand it's supposed to be a secret which gender Leon actually is. So, basically everyone in the comments always referred to Leon as a they also. So, yeah, but I'm just gonna say he for simplicity's sake. I'm not sure how important it is whether or not Leon is a guy or a girl. I think the point is that it's meant to be unknown. So, yeah. Shit. Oh yeah, I was told to give Claire, I was told to just give her the Beatrice voice because apparently she has the same, Japanese voice actress as Beatrice, and, well, the same exact voice, basically. So, I shall do that, yes. Oh, and another thing. I don't know why I was being so stupid about Shannon last episode. I was saying stuff like, oh, there was a different Shannon, so Yasu here was just trying to be like Shannon to the point where they developed Shannon as a different personality in the future. No. No one... I looked back through the episode. They explicitly, Lucifer, Leviathan, and Satan, or whatever their actual servant names are, which I can only assume are Lunon, Lenin, and Sanon, I guess? Sanon? I don't know. Satan? It might just still be Satan, honestly. But with an O instead of an A. No one ever talked to Shannon. No one did except for Yasu. And the three sisters explicitly stated that Yasu is the only one who isn't in a 3-person room. They never said Yasu's the only one in a 2-person room. Also, even just saying, Yasu is the only one who's not in a 3-person room. Meaning, Shannon doesn't even exist in this case. Shannon's already a different personality. So, wahoo, isn't that fun? There was something else I was going to say. Like, there were a couple other comments I got, but I forget what they were. If I remember what they are throughout the episode, I'll mention them, but for now, let's just get back into this. What was Satan's voice again? Oh yeah. Yasu, what do you do with the small broom? Didn't you use it to clean the window frames? The small broom is a little thin broom that looks like a large paintbrush. We use it to clear out the dust in small corners like window frames. It's one of the cleaning tools I was put in charge of. Come on, that's your responsibility. What have you been doing, idiot? Quickly, go and find it. You have to do it before Madam finds out. Oh, hello, Belfager. How do you pronounce Belfager? Is it a J or a G? I've never known. I feel like I've just been being interchangeable. But hello, I guess been in? Are they actually gonna show their names, like, at any point? Like, if I go here... No, they're here. Nope. What's up? Yasu lost a small broom again. The kid must be some sort of genius at losing things. That's why I'm telling you, never give things to Yasu. Yasu's always careless and losing things. Don't say that. Can't you see that this kid's working hard? Go, hurry and find it. I'll wait for you. And again, nobody's talking to Shannon. Okay. Not wanting to hear my fellow servants complain even more, I spun around and headed off. If you lose a tool, you get in trouble. If no one knows who did it, we all get yelled at. So one of them will probably tell Madam that it was my fault. Still, it really is my fault that I lost it in the first place. I wonder when I lost it. When? I'm guessing this is like... Okay, so the Seven Sisters of Purgatory are undoubtedly other servants that this Yasu person knew. So I guess that's why the Seven Sisters of Purgatory represent the 7 deadly sins, because I guess this is based on perspective from this Yasu person onto these 7. Because Satan seems to just be constantly fucking getting on her case. Like, I don't... And I guess I can see how Belphegor is sloth from that little interaction. Like, obviously the Seven Sisters of Purgatory themselves definitely exhibit those, the 7 deadly sins. But how they translate into the 7 servants, I guess we'll see. It's only really clear with Satan and Belphegor so far, though. Lucifer and Leviathan haven't really done anything, and then the other 5 haven't even shown up, so woo. We cleaned out the entire chapel today. The chapel is a large building behind the mansion. However, no one ever goes near it normally. Even so, we are ordered to clean it a few times each year. Kinzo calls it a sacred building, so Natsuhi is very strict about it. We'd cleaned every little nook and cranny from top to bottom. It had taken all day. I'd been in charge of cleaning the window frames, but I had also been given many smaller tasks. While those small jobs were keeping me busy, I completely forgot about the small broom, and I must have left it lying around somewhere. I began to hate myself for it. This isn't the first time this has happened. It happens all the time. Every time I set something down, it always disappears. It goes somewhere else. Vanishes. I thought it was probably the witch, Beatrice, pranking me. The ghost of the witch gained power from Rokanjima's evil spirits and was reborn. Until Kumasawa told me, I never knew the meaning of the shrine on the rocks by the sea. Ah, the shrine. Kumasawa told an old tale, passed down among the local fishermen. Rokanjima used to be known as Akujiki-shima, and terrible evil spirits who ate human souls lived there. Hey, Kumasawa! Wait. Fucking what? It's early in the morning, you can tell. Hey, Kumasawa, let us hear too. Tell us a scary tale of Rokanjima's evil spirits. Oh, very well. Rokanjima was once called Azuki-shima. However, even deeper in the distant past, it was known as Akujiki-shima. It was rumored that sailors who went too near the island were dragged down to the bottom of the sea and had their souls eaten. Yes, frightening spirits such as those do exist on this island. It was Kumasawa's favorite ghost story. Every new servant who came to the island heard about it. Such stories are usually left off, but when stormy nights visited Rokanjima, bringing an eerie howling to that lonely island where nothing exists except the Ushiromiya mansion, everyone would listen meekly. The shrine by the coast was there to seal the evil spirits away. And the master had that creepy occult hobby. And the mansion was so spooky, it was easy to picture something hiding in the shadows. True. The traveling Shugenja monk was only barely able to suppress those spirits. The seal just managed to hold them, but to this very day, they wander through the mansion night after night, searching for a victim. Oh yeah, now I remember. I was talking about at the beginning of last episode how I believe Shannon, Cannon, Beatrice, the culprit, used the shrine to test out the bomb which I clarified, since it's a bomb, it wouldn't exactly break the rule about, from the Nox Decalogue about scientific devices not being allowed, or hard to understand ones not being allowed. However, I got a comment saying that it could break the rule about how evidence would need to be present up to this point to imply that there could have been a bomb. And I can't think of anything specifically for a bomb, like there hasn't been piles of gunpowder anywhere or whatever, that it would, like, no one's even seen a bomb, unless there was a bomb mentioned in that scene from 1944, which I don't remember if there was or not, but this might count as evidence, something that I remembered. I think it was mentioned at the end of Chapter 1, or maybe the beginning of Chapter 2, how they found, like, when they went to Rokanjima, the only victim they could identify was Maria, and that was from her jawbone. In which case, that means basically every corpse was obliterated. It's not just the ones who died on the 10th Twilight. Even the corpses of people who died on earlier Twilights, like those in the garden shed, even Hideyoshi in the guest room, everyone in the parlor, their corpses were unidentifiable as well. Meaning something must have happened in order to make it unidentifiable, which a very strong bomb would certainly make that the case. That, or I suppose burning the island to a crisp would also work, but that wouldn't exactly work in some cases, because Kinzo's body was already burnt to a crisp, and his body was still identifiable as Kinzo's due to his polygamy. That's the right word, right? Either way, that's really the only basis I have for evidence that could suggest a bomb. I mean, I think I've been thinking it was a bomb since the very beginning, the 10th Twilight, but either way, that's really my best guess as far as evidence for a bomb goes. So yeah, let's just continue then. Have you seen the Master Study? I have! It's like some kind of demon laboratory. There's that rumor about the Master researching demons. They also say he's researching how to revive his mistress, Beatrice. Didn't they say he was gathering children to be sacrifices for his magic experiments? Ah, scary! What'd you do if the Master asked you to come into the study alone? I heard that long ago. One kid went into the study and never came out. That must have been a victim of an experiment to give Beatrice's ghost a new body. Oh, very true. Beatrice has become a ghost and wanders around searching for a body. The VIP room on the second floor is where Beatrice dwells. You must always be respectful when cleaning that room. If you aren't... Thank you, Kumasawa. Very cool. In the eyes of teenage boys and girls, with their powerful imaginations, the ghost story was both terrifying and fascinating. It gave them a sense of solidarity, since they all got to experience the same tale. Then that sharing became an obligation, and accepting the story became a rite of passage for joining the community. This was something that had been passed on since long ago. That's right. Back when I first started work at Rokanjima, I heard that story from Kumasawa and the older servants. I heard about it too, mostly from Shannon. I heard it too, from Kumasawa mainly. So not only the timid-looking Shannon, but a boy, Cannon, and a big adult Goda believed in the ghost story. Well, I didn't really. There are tales of ghost stories and jinxes in all jobs. There were several stories of the sort at the hotel I once worked at. So you thought it was silly, and you didn't mind it at all? I think there was a need to blend with the community. That's it. Ghost stories and jinxes are local rules of your workplace. If a newcomer breaks those rules, they can't expect to be welcomed in. Exactly. If I said witches couldn't possibly exist, that the whole idea was ridiculous, then I'd get into a fight with Shannon. It was easier if I just appeared to go along with it. Come on, if you think that way, you'll be cursed. There was one servant who got seriously injured. Oh yeah, is that actually gonna be gone into here? Hahaha, all workplaces have stories like that. No matter how incredible the ghost stories and tales about the company founder are, you accept and believe them. That's what it means to blend in with your new workplace. Wow, everyone's so mature. Except for you two. I went to each window around the chapel in the order I had cleaned them, searching carefully in all the places I might have left it. I had been cleaning the windows with it, so it had probably been set down near one of those. When did I leave it behind, I wonder? Now I think about it, I don't think I had it anymore when I reached the last window, so I must have completely forgotten to clean that window frame. Through the window, I could see the others leaving one after another. Shannon turned around and glanced up, looking worried. I don't want to be responsible for making everyone wait, so I'm actually glad they're leaving without me. If I wanted them to wait for me, I'd be relying on them too much. Okay. The sun's beginning to set, and the chapel's getting darker and darker. I don't want to hang around in a place like this all by myself. I'd better find the small broom fast. No, that's not all. I also need to clean the window frames I forgot. Madam is strict, so she'll probably check all of the windows carefully. If she does, I'll be the one who gets in trouble tomorrow. But really, where did I lose it? Why did I lose it? The darkness grew and grew. When it became dark enough that I would need a light before long, I began to panic. I dashed around and around the chapel, tears streaming down my face. As I stumbled about pathetically, I could feel the presence of a prankster witch, giggling at me from the crack of the door and gaps in the ceiling. The ghost of Beatrice, the father's mistress, wanders about in search of a body to this very day. As she absorbs the power of Rokanjima's evil spirits, her strength steadily grows, and she waits for the day of her resurrection. And, for some reason, she's peeking out at me. And if I ever take my eyes off something for a second, she snatches it away and hides it. Sorry about that noise. This isn't the first time this has happened. Whenever I look away, keys, handkerchiefs, pencils, erasers, all of them vanish almost right away. Even though I was planning to use them later, or just wanted to put them in their proper place, they disappear as soon as I turn around. It isn't someone hiding them as a prank. It's happened many times when I'm the only person around. Everyone always says I'm too careless and forgetful, and they laugh at me, get mad at me. I do try to be alert, but like some kind of bad joke, I lose things easily when I forget about them for just a short while. So sometimes I think this eraser is gonna disappear sooner or later and I stare at it. But at those times alone, it doesn't disappear. Nothing disappears when I'm alert. Because you're Beatrice. But as soon as I think I'm safe, and the tension relaxes just a bit, then something else will disappear. Why is it always me? Okay, so I think this does mean this Yasu person is like the main person, and maybe like Beatrice quote-unquote killed off this personality, or like took over the entire host, but left Shannon and Cannon. Cannon hasn't appeared yet. Cannon didn't appear until like 3 years before Battler came back to the island, right? Yeah, I hear you. I can tell that the witch is laughing at me as I lamely run around in circles. Listening to that voiceless laugh, I finally slammed my hands against the wall, crying tears of frustration. Please, just stop it! Why do you always hide my things and get me in trouble? And the witch answered. Fool, isn't it obvious? Why else except to entertain myself by watching you wander around pointlessly? I couldn't bear it. Even though I knew what she said was true, hearing it said directly was incredibly annoying. I understand. That small broom probably is somewhere in this chapel. No, that's not quite it. I'm sure that the moment before I reached this window, it was right there on the windowsill. That's right, I'm sure I put it by this window. But the prankster witch Beatrice used her magic, and just before I reached the spot, she instantly teleported the small broom to the next window over. The instant I approached that window, a hole appeared beneath the small broom, swallowing it up. And it came out by the next window after that. It landed right beside it, as though it had been there the whole time. And this happened over and over again. As I ran up to that window, the small broom fell into a magic hole and went to the next window. And when I went to that window, it went to the next window. And I realized that she was just making fun of me. So no matter how much I searched, it would be useless. But if I stop searching, it'll be just sitting there by one window or another. So this isn't a search, it's a test of endurance. I kept chasing after the small broom, and Beatrice kept making an escape to the next window over, trying to make me give up. This is an eternal chase that'll end only when one of us gives up. So I kept going around and around, even to windows that I knew I'd already searched. If it's not by this one, then try the next one, and the next one. And the witch kept moving the small broom to the next window, and the next. Just give it a rest! How long are you going to make fun of me? This isn't the only time, you always do this! The shrill, voiceless laugh of the formless witch continued to mock my sobbing. The witch is right beside me, laughing at me. As I dash around the chapel, she's following along with me, taunting me. Then, she must be there. She's right behind me, just over my shoulder, still cackling away. I know that turning around won't help since she has no form. I can try to look, but I mustn't look with my eyes. Once my eyes tell me there's nothing there, I won't be able to see anymore. Ah, I learned that from the director of the Fukuin house. You mustn't try to see with your eyes. You must see with the eyes of your heart. I see. The whole world is filled with God's love. In the many blessings of everyday life, one can see God, angels, and the Holy Ghost. If you try to look with your eyes, you won't see them, so you won't be able to see them. So you won't be able to feel them or understand them. With the eyes of the heart, you will quietly understand. You don't look at their image, you see and draw them with your heart. In this way, I learned how to recognize beings not of this world at the Fukuin house. It doesn't just mean being able to see God. This power lets one see all of those not of this world. Please, stop it now. Stop this prank. Oh, so you can speak to me? I'm clumsy, bad at my job, and I do put things down and forget about them a lot. But I know which things were my fault, and which things were because of your pranks. How amusing. Not only can you perceive me in my formless state, but you even understand my little game. It seems you're a more interesting creature than I thought. Yasu. I'm usually called Yasu when one of the older servants is laughing behind my back at some mistake I've made. So when I hear that name, it feels bad. She called me, not by the blessed name given to me by the Fukuin house, but by that unblessed name. Upsetting the heart is a classic move that evil beings make. They do it to make it harder for people to notice their presence. To beings like witches, being understood is like shoving them out into the light of day. It won't work. Wait, it won't work. In the Fukuin house, I learned how to perceive those not of this world, so I'm already able to understand you. Very interesting. You've taken me, a being so faint that I'd fly away if you blew on me, and trapped me, perceived me. You're an interesting kid, Yasu. It won't work. I've now understood and perceived you. No matter how many unpleasant things you say, you'll just expose the ugliness of your heart. Without turning around, I slowly let my range of vision fill the entire chapel. It was as though the viewpoint of my soul was floating out from the shell of my head. See? Inch by inch, my range of vision is floating out of my head and drifting upwards. As I look down at myself, standing there with head hanging and eyes tightly shut, the eyes of my heart, very slowly, rose up to the ceiling of the chapel. And when I looked down from there, I saw myself, standing in the center of the chapel, and the witch standing behind me. Apparently, the witch realized that I could see her. Wrong witch. She turned around and raised her eyes to look at the eyes of my heart, floating by the ceiling. At last, I could see the witch Beatrice with the eyes of my heart. No, you can't. A mere human that can perceive my form. You know, I was gonna say something about Gaap when it was just the fucking black rings, just you know? But I don't know why I didn't. I was thinking, that's what Gaap does. That's not what Beatrice does, but can Beatrice actually do that? Who knows? The demonic lips twisted in an ugly curve. It was clearly a challenging, repulsive demon smile. She wore a blood-red dress and hat. The design was completely different from anything humans wore. Her hair was blonde. It had countless beautiful curls, like a princess from a picture book. But there was no trace of cuteness about her. I did think you were a bit different from the other humans, but it seems I was mistaken. Forget just a bit. You're nothing like those other humans. You sad witch, who can be seen by no one, heard by no one. Have you been pulling these pranks all the time just to catch the attention of humans? I use what little magic I have to interfere when humans aren't looking, but no matter what I do, none of them think it's magic. They decide that they just made a little mistake, and blow my existence away like the candles on a cake. If so, then I've just saved you, because I understand you, and have perceived you. Saved me? To me, this meeting with you is nothing more than a new way to kill time. It's getting dark. I don't have time to play with you anymore. Oh, my apologies. I was so engrossed that I didn't notice the time. Please give it back, my cleaning tool. That small broom, or whatever you call it, it's right there by the next window. But as soon as I get close, you'll move it to the next window over. My form is elusive, as is my magic. With a snap of my fingers, I can do anything. The witch snapped her fingers, and various things throughout the chapel were sucked into a black pitfall beneath them, disappearing. No, they didn't disappear. The instant they vanished into the dark holes, other dark holes appeared in completely different parts of the chapel, and the vanished objects fell out of those. Chairs, musical scores, clocks, and vases started appearing and disappearing all across the room. It made it feel as though countless tools were flying about the chapel. I can do things like this, but don't. Wait, I can do things like this, but don't. Oh, yeah. After all, this would be a bit beyond a mere prank, don't you think? I wonder what the difference between a prank and magic is to a witch. When she snapped her fingers again, all of the loud, flying objects returned to their original spots, and silence fell. I've taken a liking to you. You've perceived and captured me. It works the same in reverse. I've perceived and captured you. The Fukuin director told me not to try and see evil beings. If you see them, they will possess you. Now that I understood this witch, a bond had formed between us. Ah, fuck, it's thinking time. God damn it, Sai, no! How can you know that I'm friends with a witch? You must have been friends with a witch. How? How? How do you know that? Oh, well, you just kind of told me, that's all. That is correct. Now that you have acknowledged my existence, I have formed a bond with you. After all the years I've spent in boredom, it would be nice to have a young kid like you to talk to. I'll talk to you from time to time, so will you stop pulling pranks like this? No, I'm not here to talk to you, but to play with you. And if we're playing, pranks are just part of the game, right? Very well, I've had enough fun for one day. The sun is sunk and the moon is full. I'm a bit tired after appearing in front of you for so long. Let us call it a night. Look how much fun we had with just a single broom. Please, give it back. No way. I'll keep this as a token of our meeting. Got a problem with that? If I said I did, would you give it back to me? I never listen to humans. If I might lend an ear to a friend. If you give it back, I'll acknowledge you as a friend. Foolish human. Did you actually think that alone would make me want a deal? If you want to make a deal with me, try drawing a mysterious magic circle or two. And yet, I might consider your proposal. What do you mean, you might? I'll take my time in deciding whether you're worthy to be my friend. After all, to be a witch is to be a contrarian. An Amamojaku... What's that? If you ask us for an answer, we'll never give one right away. Understood. Then, I'll leave the small broom with you. Please give it back when you decide to become my friend. Very well. Will this broom become a bridge of friendship between us or not. I'll hang on to it for now, making my decision in my own good time. When the witch snapped her fingers, the broom for which I had searched so long fell out of a hole in the air, landing between the fingers she had just snapped. This is goodbye. This game with you was far from boring. Let us play again sometime. If you're my friend, that is. When a cat toys with a mouse, does it try to become friends with it first? I don't know, ask Tom and Jerry. I don't think I've ever seen Gaap make that expression. The witch faded away. As she did, the eyes of my heart shut themselves. When I returned to my body, I felt suddenly tired and let out the breath I'd been holding. Of course, when I turned around, there was no one to be seen. I couldn't feel the witch's presence anywhere anymore. It had gotten very dark by this time. I decided to leave the chapel. There's no point in searching for the small broom any longer. Not until the witch decides to give it back. I went out of the chapel. The chapel key had been left in the lock. I used it to lock the door. What am I going to do about the small broom? There's nothing I can do. I can't even blame the witch. I must acknowledge that I'm responsible for giving the witch a chance. When I happened to glance downwards, I saw a small broom lying there by my feet. It was the broom I had been searching for all this time. Don't tell me that it would be swallowed up by a dark hole the instant I bend over to pick it up. No. This is a sign from the witch. A sign that she acknowledges me as a friend. I picked it up. Oh, I am one yet many. Ah. The first friend I made after coming to the island was apparently not a human at all. However, when I think back on it, it was only natural. What other sort of friend would you expect to make on a witch's island? This was the first meeting between me and Beatrice. However, as some of you listeners may have noticed, this was not a meeting with the real Beatrice. The witch I then called Beatrice would later be known by another name. However, she was clearly not human, and being bonded with one who is not human means being bonded with their world. I still had no way of knowing the varied fates that waited for me on Rokanjima. End of Chapter 2, The First Friend. I see. Okay. So, what's the next chapter then? Because we're only half an hour in. I should still keep going. Oh boy. Oh, hello, Lucifer. Yeah, seriously. Not only was Yasu slow-witted, that kid also lost stuff all the time. But even so, Yasu always had this look, like someone else had taken whatever it was away. It really pissed me off. That kid just didn't know how to concentrate. If you always act in that dreamy way without thinking, it's no surprise that you'll do bad work. But it was only like that in the beginning, right? After some time, that kid started concentrating, and all that bad stuff stopped happening. Really? Well, it was all stuff that anyone should be able to do anyway. Learning to do things that everyone can do is part of growing up. I doubt the rest of you were so clever about everything when you first started, yes? Are you kidding? If we weren't clever, we'd never have been selected to work for the Ushiromiya family. We're supposed to be the elite. The fact that Yasu was young was no excuse. That's right. If Yasu was supposed to learn cleverness by growing up, that should have been done before coming to work for the Ushiromiyas. Come on! That kid worked really hard to balance school and work. I think you're all being too harsh. We were selected because we made it through a harsh process, right? There's no need for us to pamper Yasu. I'm sick of this. I don't get why someone as dull-witted as Yasu was chosen. Being selected as an Ushiromiya family servant was an achievement that all Fukuin children respected. The older servants had achieved glory by making it through the strict selection process. Yasu was so clumsy that they all wondered why that child had been chosen. Of course, Yasu was working very hard for a child of that age. However, before long, the unsatisfied older servants started being mean to Yasu whenever they got the chance. Even after getting used to life on Rokanjima, Yasu didn't manage to make a single friend. At least not any human friends. Chapter 3, Dazed and Raptured. Okay. Oh, yes, that can sometimes happen, and always when you're busy. Perhaps a fairy is pulling pranks on you. It's a witch pulling pranks on me. I mean, I knew I'd put it right there, and when I looked away for just a second, it had disappeared. The witch had pranked me again. I left my master key behind. Madam found out, and I got in a lot of trouble. But I always put my master key in my pocket after I use it. Why was it in a place like that? And this is the third time it's happened. The last 2 times, I realized that it wasn't in my pocket and managed to find it before anyone found out. But the third time, Madam found it. I was really mad and frustrated with that witch in the red dress. Beatrice's pranks can be quite troublesome. But if you're dealing with a witch, no ritual of some sort do the trick. A ritual? Kumasawa started fishing through the kitchen cupboards, saying, "Now where did that get to?" The thing she finally found and brought to me was a kite string. She stretched it out for me to see, then used a knife to cut off a 50-centimeter piece. Try tying this end to the key, then tie the other end to your pocket button or some other place that doesn't stick out. This charm represents the ritual of the spider web. A spider web? Like the ones the evil spirits of Rokonjima fear? Good, I'm glad you remember. It said that the spider webs on the island are imbued with magical power, and that they can be quite effective at repelling evil. See, if you stretch it out like this, it looks like a spider web, doesn't it? This way, that spider web hating Beatrice won't be able to prank you anymore. That does make sense. It really does look like a spider web when pulled tight. Since Kumasawa says so, it must have some pretty strong evil repelling power. I can just ask her to make several of these kite strings for me, and then I can tie them to everything I don't want to lose. But of course, that wouldn't be very practical. I'd have strings all over me. What about things I can't keep tied to me, like pencils and erasers? For times like that, there's a different ritual. All you have to do is make a house for Mr. Pencil and Mr. Eraser. Make a house? You mean build a roof and a bed and stuff? You aren't actually building a house, you're giving them one. For example, take the knife I cut the string with. I want to go home. He's such a lonely kid that he wants to go home the moment he steps outside. So if you leave him anywhere else, he'll get lost and start crying. See, we just left Mr. Knife lying there, so he got lonely and started crying. Poor thing. We have to get Mr. Knife home. Mr. Knife's house is right here. See, his whole family of knives is waiting for him. Mama, I'm home. Welcome back. See? Kumasawa returned the knife to the knife holder under the sink. Even though she had done something so ordinary, I felt slightly moved. As though the lost little knife had finished his adventure and finally returned home. Once he slid into the spot he was supposed to be in, all the knives would be together and could have a party. Then Kumasawa said we should give them their privacy and shut the door. The poor things hidden by the witch must get lonely easily, so when the witch tells them she'll take them somewhere fun, they're happy to go along with her. How can you stop them from doing this? Take them home right away. Exactly. They're lonely, naughty kids, so they'll go with the witch if they get the chance. So you must always take them home quickly. Look at that Mr. Key you just tied to a string. He's sitting there all alone, crying and asking you to put him in his home in your pocket. I'm lonely. Jesus. The voice of the lonely Master Key finally reached my ears. I hurried to pick it up, took the other end of the string and tied it to my pocket button, and put the key in my pocket. See? I'm home! Mr. Key gets lonely so easily, so let's take him home right after we use him, okay? If you keep making little friends like this, even Beatrice won't be able to prank you much longer. Clink. When break time was over and I stood up to see what I should help with next, I felt a tug, and the keyring with the master key fell to the floor. Once again, I had left the master key on the side of the sofa and forgotten it was there. The instant I stood up, the string pulled on it, and it fell to the floor. Without Kumasawa's spiderweb charm, I would probably have left that master key lying here again. The master key left all alone would have been led away by the witch and disappeared. Whew, that was close. And once again I heard the master key, who had almost been left on its own, cry and tell me that it wanted to go home. I'm sorry. Come on, let's go back home to my pocket. Yay, I'm home! Thank goodness. I almost got pranked by the witch again. Oh, what's this? What an amusing notion, using string like that. Never mind, this is someone else. I thought it was Yasu. All of a sudden, I heard a wild, shocked voice from over my shoulder. It was a voiceless voice. A witch's voice, the kind you can't hear unless you try. Beatrice? That's me, my friend. You forgot about your key again, and just when I was about to tease you a bit. It's a spiderweb charm that Kumasawa showed me. Apparently it does its job well. Indeed. I hate to admit it, but it does. I certainly wouldn't want to touch that. After all, you wouldn't want to put your finger on a razor and slide it across, would you? That's a scary example. My finger hurts just thinking about it. But good for you. You didn't have to get yelled at by Natsuhi for losing your key again. You should be thanking me. Why? Because I annoyed you, learned of that ritual, correct? Thanks to that, you've managed to avoid the screw-up of forgetting where you left your key once again. In other words, it is all thanks to me. Don't I deserve some gratitude? I really don't like it, but she does have a point. Because of all the trouble Beatrice caused me, I talked to Kumasawa and learned the ritual from her. Even without the witch's pranking, if I didn't have that ritual, I would have gone to my next job and left the master key here. If that happened, then surely I wouldn't have been able to find the key and it would have been a big mess. We call this punishment to make an example. By magnifying your mistakes, I've shown you what they are as a friend. Don't you see how much you've grown? I get the feeling that Kumasawa is the one I should be thanking, not you. My, what a thankless job we witches have. Anyway, I win this time. Okay, I need to get back to work now. Very well, my friend. We'll call this your victory. However, I'm bad at giving up. I'll keep watching you even more closely now until I can even the score. Prepare yourself. There's still several small items that a person like you is likely to forget. You can't attach strings to all of them. Spiderweb ritual isn't the only one I have. I also learned the take them home ritual. Okay, Rena. I won't let you have your way anymore. Yasu is just Rena. Actually, come to think of it, I don't know if this is supposed to be a parallel, but Shannon, like, her hair does kind of look somewhat similar to Rena's. Let's see how well you actually do. Even so, that's quite the bright smile you've got there. When a witch appears, it should be time to cry, not to laugh. Your break time is over. See if you can manage to do your job today without slowing down the older servants. Sure, today is Sunday, and the weather is wonderful. Meanwhile, in real life, it's Thursday, and it's raining. I'd better do my best. Indeed, go to it with all you can manage. Oh, that's right. Sanon's been in a bad mood all morning. Okay, yeah, it is Sanon then. Satan. You'd better try and avoid eye contact with her. Also, your fortune for the day is water hazard. Make sure you take care when standing near buckets of water. This is what we're talking about. I'll be waiting for you to knock over a bucket and get scolded just like usual. Oh, wait. Thank you, Beatrice. There's no quotation marks, but I guess I'll use your voice. Back when I still couldn't see her, I simply hated this prank-loving witch. But now that I could talk with her, it felt as though she wasn't all bad. Of course, there was no need for me to be grateful to her. To the witch called Beatrice, who despises boredom, mocking the misfortune of others is like what eating food is to us. Humans and witches are different, incompatible beings, and yet it felt as though we could become friends. Okay, so I was thinking this whole... No, that still works! Ooh! Okay. Theory time. So, I remember, Maria said earlier this chapter that the only other people who knew and talked to Beatrice were Kumasawa, Virgilia, Genji, Ronove, Nanjo, probably not Gaap. So I was thinking, but Gaap is, like, the third one between Virgilia and, not just Virgilia, fucking Ronove. Virgilia and Ronove, so who is Gaap? And I remember I've been thinking, Gaap's probably Eva. Like, yeah, there's Eva Beatrice, but Eva Beatrice is, like, basically an alternate personality of Eva. As far as characters in the family who are very similar to Gaap, Eva makes the most sense due to the fact that Gaap fights with her legs, and Eva is very well trained in martial arts. And I was thinking, but Gaap couldn't be Eva then. But no, it still could be Eva, because Eva, like, okay, this is 1976, right? So, 10 years ago, Eva would be like 40. So it could have still been Eva, but that would mean Eva's still on the island. So it could have been Rosa, I suppose. Because Rosa doesn't really have a magical representation. If Rosa is Gaap, like, I still think Eva makes more sense, but Rosa would be, what, like, I don't know exactly how old Rosa is. She's probably 30, so she was 20 at the time. It could still be probable that she hasn't left the island. Natsuhi's she's a possibility, but I doubt it. So then that just leaves Kumasawa's like, Nanjo. Fucking Nanjo couldn't be Gaap. That wouldn't make sense. Because the kid would have to recognize them as a witch, so they'd recognize Nanjo isn't a fucking female. They'd recognize Natsuhi immediately. But it's possible that they wouldn't recognize Rosa as well, if Rosa still lives on the island. So, yeah. Unless it's Jessica. I mean, Jessica fights with her fists, though. What if it's George? They both start with G. Okay. Of course, she's still a witch. I mustn't get careless. And yet, not being careless is a good thing. Thanks to the tricks and rituals I used to keep her at bay, I'm able to concentrate. That could hardly be a bad thing. Those things would be useful for my job and my life, even when I don't have to worry about the witch's pranks. I see, so this witch called Beatrice really is like a demon. Apparently it's possible to build up a friendship even while speaking hostilely to each other.
Ever since then, there was an incredible change in that kid. Because of all the rituals.
Oh, that's right. That child was quite faithful when it came to obeying rules, and flawlessly followed all of the rituals I taught.
You mean by attaching strings to everything? And by doing that going home thing all the time? Yes. That kid would sometimes say it out loud. It was really cute, like watching someone play house with a bunch of tools. Just like a kid. But they were a kid, right?
With adults, you can say something one way and all of them will understand. However, there really are many different types of kids, and you need many different ways to teach them things. If you can find just the right way, they will learn quite easily.
Some kids learn better when they're punished, and some learn better when they're praised.
I used to scare a neighborhood kid and tell him that a fairy would take his things if he didn't keep good track of them. This was the same, except the fairy became a witch.
Still, doesn't that sound like fate? After all, you knew this kid was Beatrice's child, didn't you?
Yes, I did know.
It must have been strange to tell Beatrice's child that the witch Beatrice would play pranks on you unless you put your stuff away neatly.
When the child came and told me that the witch was stealing things and pulling pranks, it made me think. I took it as a sign that the late Beatrice had become a witch, and was coming to teach her child to keep track of things. That's why I thought this was the best way to teach that child.
That kid started out with a bad reputation for forgetting and losing things, but got a lot more cheery after overcoming those bad habits.
By surpassing weaknesses, those weaknesses become strengths, and that is how people gain confidence and grow up. Those small spurts of growth made me feel as though this was my own grandchild. Well, in a way, Yasu kind of is. And they're still explicitly not referring to, Yasu as a boy or a girl, so it could be either, especially since they don't have a sprite. Thank you, Genji. Good work with the big cleanup today. We never know when an important guest might come and borrow one of the rarely used rooms. It is important that you do not slack off in your cleaning.
Of course. All of us are fully aware of this fact.
I hope that is the case. When I looked around, I found this. Whose is it?
Genji took a master key ring out of his pocket. Apparently someone had dropped their master key. All of the servants swung around to look at me, the usual offender. Come on, Yasu again? You shouldn't be so quick to judge.
I have mine, of course. There's no way I dropped something that important. And the rest of you?
I have mine. Got it! So it was you, Yasu! Do you still not get it, even after that scolding Madam gave you? You're just so...
Normally, I would cower and apologize under their glares whether I was guilty or not. However, I've changed, so I proudly held up the key with the string still attached. Oh, a device to keep yourself from dropping it. A commendable precaution. Genji's face was as expressionless as ever. However, those were unmistakably words of praise.
That's right, you won't drop them anymore. After all, you have your ritual now.
That's right. I nodded proudly, a huge smile on my face. The proud experience of that day, of that moment, would be engraved into an unforgettable page in the memory of my young life. So whose key did Genji find? There was only one servant who hadn't raised their key. As she muttered, "It has to be Yasu's key, not mine," and fished in her pocket, her face went pale. You mustn't slack off, even when doing your everyday tasks. But everyone makes mistakes from time to time. I will not press the point, but blaming your teammate instead of reflecting on your own actions is not something I would consider praiseworthy.
My apologies.
The older servant turned red and hung her head. Behind her, though no one else could see it, was the witch. Haha, get fucked. My friend will not make the same mistake again. After all, even though I've always got my eyes on this kid, I can never find a chance to try anything. But it's a shame. If this girl here has lost her key, I should have tried pranking her long ago.
Please don't prank people other than me. Huh? Did you say something? No, nothing.
I tried not to feel vindictive, but after being called dull-witted for so long, I was finally able to hold my head up high. On that day, for the first time, I truly felt as though I'd gotten used to life as a servant of the Ushiromiya family.
When people compliment you, it feels like they've acknowledged you.
It's very important. People can't grow without it.
And what happens when people grow?
First, it becomes possible for them to find some leeway. Jobs that used to make them scared, that made them worry about whether they were doing things the right way or not, can then be carried out with confidence.
That's right. Once things become easy, that gives you some latitude. And what happens next?
It gives you a chance to enjoy their time more. As Genji might say it, it gives you time to relax your mind.
If you're tense all the time, that just wears you out. It's good to take it easy for a bit if you can. You mean you earn so much that you can start slacking off on the job?
It sounds bad when you put it that way. However, there's nothing wrong with cleverly carrying out your task quickly and using your free time to enjoy yourself. Times like that are what enriches a human's life. Come to think of it, Goda plays crosswords a lot between jobs. Wait, that's probably Zpar and Furfur.
Come to think of it, Goda plays crosswords a lot between jobs. He also invents dishes with the leftover ingredients.
Playing a bit and refreshing yourself can also be good for your efficiency. You might say that inventing dishes combines work and play. Even Genji slacks off when no one's looking. He'll watch TV or swipe some of his master's drink. And he reads complicated books. Even Genji... In short, it's all about cleverly using the gaps between jobs to play. If it goes too far, it can turn to laziness. However, people only become mature when they learn to balance work with pleasure. Simply put, if all you care about is work all the time, you're not fully mature.
So that kid learned how to play between jobs. It's hard to imagine that overly serious kid slacking off at work.
It all started with learning how to interact with people. That kid formed a relationship with Kumasawa, the person who was always kind, and started borrowing books from her and talking together about them. Even I had friends at school, but because of my work, there was no chance to deepen our friendship. Jessica was always kind and modest, but there was Natsuhi's stern order to think of, so we couldn't play together very much. So at that time, Kumasawa, the one who was always kind as a mother to me, was the person I felt closest to. Kumasawa was old enough to have grandchildren. They couldn't exactly run around and play together. You developed an interest in Kumasawa's hobby.
And what's Kumasawa's hobby?
Books. It might be hard to believe, but Kumasawa was a huge mystery novel fan. Interesting.
So the kid wanted to find out what sorts of books they were and started reading them.
That's right. The nice thing about mystery novels is that you can talk about them while you read them. Even Kumasawa, who already knew the answer, must have enjoyed listening in and hearing what sorts of theories a young intellect could create. Of course, I didn't start right away with the complicated books Kumasawa read. First, I asked for her recommendations and got books from the school library. Goosebumps. Interesting. I would even bring them into the servant room and read a bit during every break. Every time a new theory popped into my head, I told Kumasawa about it, and she, who already knew the answer, would nod at my theory and grin. That was a lot of fun for me.
Are you going to take a bath? Bath time's almost over. Yeah, just a bit more. Another one of the Indian figures just disappeared. You've become a total mystery nut. If you get too excited reading, you won't be able to sleep again. According to Kumasawa, the culprit has already appeared, but I don't have a clue who it is. What's that book called? It's by Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None.
Oh.
It's really interesting. Almost like it's a crime happening on Rokkanjima. It's a really famous mystery novel, isn't it? Wasn't that one a perfect crime? At least until the culprit confesses to the truth in a message bottle at the end? An incredible book. Shh. I'm enjoying myself, so don't spoil me. Go take a bath now. I'll go by myself later. Okay. See you later, then. Don't forget to take a bath, okay?
Holding a change of clothes, Shannon smiled amusedly as she left the room. I probably won't be able to read the whole thing tonight. Even though I know that, I just kept turning the pages, unable to find a good place to stop. My new joy, the mystery genre. The mental game of thinking and theorizing, and also talking about it with Kumasawa. All of that left me enraptured. It would seem you've become a complete bookworm. Well, if you do stay up and get sleepy, that just makes my job easier.
We can't have that. I better find a place to stop soon.
In the ancient times I was born in, pleasures such as mystery novels didn't exist. I've been reading over your shoulder, and this truly is a captivating read.
Beato, who do you think is the culprit?
And then there were none?
Yeah. Who is this UN Owen, I wonder? Oh, hello! Owen is my name. Not my last name, but okay.
The culprit who lured the victims to the islands, of course.
There are no more than 10 people on this island, and UN Owen doesn't exist.
Someone must have stranded them on the island and waited somewhere far away for them to die of starvation.
No, that's not right. He or she is on the island. They're one of the 10 people. I just don't know who.
How do you know that there are only 10 people on the island?
That's just how it is.
Since if you doubt that, you're stuck. Or it's just a standard rule of the mystery genre, or... The culprit owns the island, correct? They may be hiding in some hidden room. Or perhaps they're like me. They may be a 1,000-year-old witch. No. If they went to such lengths to kill a mere 10 people, they couldn't be 1,000 years old. 495 years old at the best, I'd say.
Close rooms do appear a lot in the mystery novels, and books often use the phrase, "it could only conceivably have been done with magic." And here I am, with a witch right before my eyes. It's a complicated feeling.
Very interesting, these close room murders. Once you read the answer, it becomes a tale of humans or a mystery novel. But if you take out the part that reveals the answer, it becomes a tale of witches or a fantasy novel.
That's an interesting way to look at it. So there's only a tiny difference between human novels and fantasy novels?
If a trick exists, it becomes a human novel. If there isn't one, it's a witch novel. Simply take out the last few pages of that book you're reading, and you might think of Lady Umineko as a witch of the same level, on the same level as myself. Lady Umineko, okay. I've never read And Then There Were None, obviously. In fact, I haven't read very many mystery novels at all. There was one I read, which was about rhesus monkeys or something, but I don't remember much about it. I read it for like a book report in 10th grade. It was something, that's for sure. Or maybe I just read it for fun. I forget.
That might be surprisingly wise coming from you. So, the culprit of an answerless detective novel is a witch.
All of the dark places in this world belong to us witches, so I could reign as the culprit for all detective novels across the world.
Except if you reason it out right and find the true answer, then the witch is done for.
These detective novels can be quite intriguing, it seems. This looks to be a truly entertaining thinking game.
That's right. This is a thinking game. You fight against the book, make a theory, and then compete against friends who have also read the book.
Perhaps, but it's also a fight between humans and witches. Will you allow for or deny the magic of my closed room murders? Call it a chess match of mystery.
So, it isn't a book I'm reading, but a challenge against you?
Indeed. As Shannon said a short while ago, the story apparently has the truth revealed by a message bottle at the end. So if you can't expose the truth of the tale before that point, you lose. After all, the message bottle just happened to drift somewhere that it could be seen. If it got smashed and sank before anyone saw it, this would be a perfect crime. Or in other words, a witch's crime that's impossible for humans.
That's a fun way to look at it. A fight between me and the witch. Yeah, I really like thinking of it that way.
Starting now and until you finish reading, I am Lady Owen, the 495-year-old witch. Can you see through my deserted island murder tricks?
I do have one theory. You want to play with me, don't you? I've been reading books so much you've gotten lonely.
That too. Incidentally, the game Beato and I played around And Then There Were None ended with my defeat. In the end, I wasn't able to build a satisfying theory, and I had to learn the truth from the message bottle. Luckily, it did manage to drift into human hands. If it had sunk to the bottom of the ocean, as Beato had suggested, I would have had no way of knowing the truth. In other words, I was forced to acknowledge UN Owen as a witch. Mystery. I once thought it was just a genre for novels. To think that it can so easily become a fight between witches and humans, truth and fantasy. I was instantly enraptured by this new game. As the months passed by, I read through all of the mystery novels in the school library, and started to read mystery novels for adults. Is And Then There Were None not for, adults? It's a kid's book? Well, probably more like teenage. I discussed them with Kumasawa. I discussed them with Shannon. I played my game of theory chess, the fight between witches and the truth. Those days were so much fun. Oh, I am one yet many. Here's to the fun game of the mind that enraptured me. Ah. That was interesting. I like how they're developing the culprit without outright saying who it is. Well, I guess you could say at this point that this Yasu person isn't even the culprit, but then again, like, how fucking dumb would you have to be? Chapter 4, New Days. So it seems like each of these chapters is gonna be like 30 minutes long, so like for the next 4 episodes, we're gonna be here, it seems. Not like it's a problem, it's entertaining enough, it hasn't gotten boring yet. In fact, saying yet implies that it will, it hasn't gotten boring. But either way, I'm gonna end this episode here. So if you liked this video, be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!